From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. Today I have Cary Prejean with me, and we're going to talk about all things strategic business and coaching. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today.
Okay.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I've got Cary Prejean with me. Hey Cary, how you doing today?
Hey Rob, going well, man. Going well. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and thanks for joining me. So today we're going to talk about all things strategic business, coaching, and all that great stuff. How did you get involved in this crazy world? Like, how did that happen?
It's a long story.
I want to hear it, though. So,
Well,
go
okay.
ahead.
I started out in accounting.
Yep.
Worked for a couple of really big companies, 4,500 companies. Worked for a CPA firm, big CPA firm, one of the big eight at the time. Got hired away by a client of this big CPA firm. Moved from Houston to New Orleans. And what I found out very quickly was this gentleman who owned the business did not know how to read his financial statements, didn't see, like, what was obvious to me is, like, you have a credit line that, now this is back in 1980, you have a credit line that you're paying 28% interest on because prime interest rate was 21. I said, you can't, it's not sustainable. You're structurally designed to lose money at this. You know, you can't, the interest nut is killing you every month. And he had bought a $2 million sailboat. He had bought a Rolls Royce for his second trophy wife. And he was counting on guys who would, like, come up from clerks in his business to, like, run the rental department, run the new sales department, run the parts department, run the service department. And these guys weren't businessmen. I mean, they were, he was probably the top mechanic at one time, was the guy running the service department. Guys who had, I guess, started with them when they were kids, were now running the sales department. And they didn't know how to run these departments. And it was up to him, and he went to work. Anyway, what I found out was he eventually went bankrupt. He wouldn't listen to me, like, lose some assets. Let's get rid of this credit line. He couldn't see it. I kept showing financial statements. And again, I was young enough that let me say it this way. I was young to where I didn't have the vocabulary. I didn't have the distinctions to be able to point to him in layman's terms and say, this is what's going on. This is going to destroy you. I would say the words, but it sounded, with all this accounting jargon, you know, I might as well have been talking to him in Italian. Anyway, I went to work for a couple other companies and found out that it was fairly common that business owners didn't know how to read their financial statements. So I started, I had several referrals from people who had worked for them. It's like, hey, my buddy over here, he needs help with this business. Can you help him? And so it was all from, like, a CFO accounting standpoint and finance, and how can we rearrange your finances, like restructure your bank loans maybe, or let me show you some things on your financial statements, cutting costs, when's the last time we repriced, things like that. Eventually what happened was I had enough people want to hire me part-time that I could actually, get out there and make it enough to live on so I could build a practice. What became obvious after a while was that I was missing something. I mean, I could talk about the numbers all day long, and that would go so far with business owners, even after I learned how to speak about it a bit. But I could also see that their personalities that come from that had them be successful entrepreneurs had them be bad managers because the skill sets were opposite.
No question.
Sorry?
No question. Yeah, that's very common. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, the myth is, well, I started the business, I own the business, I've been around since day one, I should be able to manage it the best. Well, yeah, that sounds correct. It sounds logical, but your style, the way you are as a human being, is not conducive to being a good manager. You'd get bored with
Yes.
being a good manager. You're not cut out for it. Just like a good manager would not make a good entrepreneur. And believe me, to the business, you're way more valuable being a good entrepreneur. You're going to generate the
Yeah.
business. A good manager just keeps things steady, keeps things going.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, that drives you crazy. So in the late 1980s, I got into this thing called the ontology of language. It's a series of courses that took. Several of them were like 9 months long. And it got this whole thing about how language it makes several claims. One is that language is generative. In other words, language generates your perception, it generates your reality.
Mhm.
It's your language, and I guess let me say it this way: when you look out in the world and you receive sight or sounds or taste or smell or touch, whatever, you don't get a direct biological experience of that. Your language that you live by, that this morass of conversations that's always going on, you're going to tell you good, bad, right, wrong, like it, don't like it, makes sense, don't make sense, agree, disagree. On top of that comes a whole sea of assessment about, is it pretty? Is it ugly? Is it fun? Does it feel good? Do you like them? All that kind of stuff. So all you have is a linguistic interpretation of life. You don't have a direct biological experience like most animals. So that's why people can have shared events, but everybody's going to have their own experience. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So as a business owner, you're going to see life or see the world through that entrepreneurial perspective. And one of the big
Mhm.
things they all say is, why don't my employees get it? Because they're not entrepreneurs. They don't have an
Yep.
entrepreneur mindset. They don't live out of that discourse. They live in
Mhm.
employee discourse, which is, I want a job or a steady paycheck. I want to go home and I'll forget about this place.
That's right.
And
That's how they live.
entrepreneurs, like, they live and breathe it. I mean, some of my clients will start texting me or emailing at 2 in the morning. I don't necessarily answer them, but it's
Yeah.
like one guy says, I'm always on. I'm always on. Yeah, I know.
Well, it's the story with the entrepreneur who always takes the laptop with them on vacation, right? And and I'll share with you, I was even guilty of doing that till 2 years ago, till my partner said, "Can you just leave it at home, please?" And now I go away, I take an iPad, but I'll take a laptop
Yeah,
because if something happens and I'm gone, people I can farm it out to. So I just say, goodbye, you're on. So yeah,
yeah,
I agree with you. It's
yeah.
it's a different mindset.
Yeah, I have several of them that travel overseas a few times a year, and they're always like, make sure I can hear them talking. Make sure I have Wi-Fi access on the plane. I'm not going on the plane for 6 hours and not be able to get on the internet. Like, okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
um,
I get it. I get it.
so, so what the ontology of language taught me is that and then I eventually got certified to be an ontological coach. And what it allows me to do is have conversations with these business owners to get them to see that you see the world in this way, and it empowers you in certain ways. You're
Mhm.
driven. You don't accept no for an answer. You're going to make things happen. You're going to fix them after you see possibilities, other people see risk, etc. Same time, it disempowers you, and that has you be impatient and intolerant sometimes, and you fly off the handle and jump an employee in front of them, in front of them because they don't see what you see because they're not getting it like you get it.
Yeah.
So that creates that inhibits or that hurts your identity with the employees,
Yeah.
and it creates this resentment that they're going to do it. What do I have to do to not get fired? Because I'm going to collect my paycheck, and when I find a better job, I'm out of here. So it has helped me not only with the financial background and some other business strategies, but the ontology of language has helped me show them how to become leaders that can take their business to the next level rather than just be the autocratic tyrants of the typical entrepreneur. And again,
That's interesting.
it's very freeing for them, and that now they actually have followers and not just employees. People want to follow them because they're able to talk about their bigger vision, what they see that's bigger than them, that it attracts other people.
Yeah. That's really interesting. It's so funny. When you started this off, you said people don't even know their numbers. They don't even know where they're at. And even for entrepreneurs, if you don't know your numbers, how does your business succeed? Like I fed him that. And I don't know if I shared this with you when we talked before we did the report. My father was the CFO. I
Yeah.
learned really quickly to understand what numbers were and finances were. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I hate it. I hate it with a passion.
Most
So what do?
entrepreneurs do.
I go get somebody to do it for me because if
Yeah.
you don't like doing it, get somebody to do it. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
easy.
Most entrepreneurs hate the numbers.
Yeah.
Now, if you can condense it for them, like I do with dashboards, and 1 hour a week, and you go through the dashboards with them and say,
Mhm.
it's saying this, and everything's fine, they can tolerate that. But to have them sit through a half a day meeting going through financial statements, they'd rather take a beating, you know.
Yeah. 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 I've been with my financial guy for 13 years, and I say to him, give me a weekly summary of where I'm at, and that's what I want. I don't want it all. I mean, I
Yeah,
just do. You mentioned leadership, which is really
yeah.
interesting. What's the top three things a good leader needs to do? Or top
Well,
four?
number one, they have to have some vision, right? They have to have
Yeah.
some mission, some visions out there that they're committed to. Number two, they have to be able to enroll people to follow them, or they have to be, their
Mhm.
mission has to be what I call seductive, and I'm done. That has nothing to do with sexuality, but it has to seduce people. Like they want some of that. They see that, hey, I want some of that. Think of some of the great leaders, we've had, Mahatma Gandhi,
Yeah.
nonviolence. People, people picked up and followed him because they saw what he saw was India free of Britain, and they weren't going to do it in a
Mhm.
violent way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually, it even appealed to the Brits.
Yeah.
So, it's things like that. But people, they see something and they got to have it. They want more. They're willing to make it part of their vision, or they want
Mhm.
part of the vision to be theirs.
Yeah.
And number two, as you said, top three. One, have a vision. Two, know how to enroll followers or seduce followers. Number three is be able to maintain your focus on the horizon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easy to get distracted sometimes, especially after you've had some success with, well, let's go do this over here. And it totally throws you off your mission. Next thing you know, you're losing followers, you've lost your way. And you can see that that's happened a lot in the business world, in the entertainment world. Um, anyway, that would be my
Yeah.
top three.
And honestly, you say about distraction, too many entrepreneurs get caught on what I call the shiny object syndrome. Oh, the next
Shiny,
biggest thing, the next this.
yeah,
And
that shiny out.
it doesn't mesh with their goal. But oh, it's Chinese, so I'll go after that. And they even go to the point where they do it with the internal tools. And it's like, guys, no, you
Right.
should always be looking at
So,
stuff, but
the,
to be switching. Go ahead.
right. The problem with that is that they're so distracted is because they're not really clear on what their vision is. If they're
Okay.
really clear on what the vision is and they're committed to that, they're not going to get. Now I've seen guys who they're they're lasered in on where they're headed, and you bring up something that a new shiny object, they go, yeah, looks good, but it's not really where we're headed.
Yeah. Yeah. Besides leadership, what other qualities make a good entrepreneur since you work with them all the time?
Yeah, well, again, a lot of their good qualities are also the bad qualities. Their ability to
Yeah.
see opportunity where others see risk. And sometimes, and again, they're wildly optimistic, most of them, which means that they tend to dismiss the risk factors, and they tend to
Yeah.
dismiss those who would caution them. Hey, have you thought about this? Did you see this? What about if this happens? And a lot of times they get frustrated and go, "Why are you being so negative? I don't need you to be Debbie Downer about me. We're doing this." Instead of, okay, well, let me consider that. They're very driven, which means they don't accept no for an answer. I have one guy, his favorite thing is I shall not be defeated, and he's not. The downside of that is you can tend to be overly dominating and hammer people and getting your way.
Yeah.
Okay. They're also very good at fast pace, changing gears. They like a lot of action.
Hmm.
So there are times though when they need to have like steady focus, pay attention, put your head down, and do the work, and they can't do it. They're
Yeah.
also good at, I'll make it up when I get there. I'll figure a way. But
Hmm.
it's also negative in terms of they have a hard time following the rules. In fact, they hate rules. They want rules for everybody else, but not for them. In fact, one of the comments I have fairly regularly is, we love the results you're producing. We just don't like all the rules. The rules are what are producing results you like. So, what do you want
Yeah.
to do? But yeah, no, listen, they're very unique people. They're about 15% of the population. They're fun to work with because they are so gregarious. They're very outgoing. Um, they're fun to work with, and they have so much ideas. They have so much energy. They're fun to work with. Um, and at some point, one of my things is I have to build permission. I have to build a relationship in such a way that I have permission from time to time to say, hey, you're getting out of hand.
Yeah.
You need to pull the reins a little bit here. Let's at least examine this. Let's discuss this, because if you keep going where you're going, I think you could wind up in trouble.
Yeah.
And anyway, but to me, that's just part of the relationship that needs to be there. And most of the people I work with, they respond to that.
Yeah. I would say too is with entrepreneurs, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's probably a high volume of relationship breakdown in their personal life. Having been through that, I would say that a lot of spouses and partners don't get the entrepreneur's life. It takes a really good spouse or partner to support an entrepreneur. I will say that. And I have to tell you, Cary, I'm one of those lucky guys now. I have a partner who gets it, who gets what I do, wants to hear about what I do, wants to be part of what I do, to the point when I did the 600th episode of this podcast, I did a special show, and she said to me, Rob, I want the last word in that show. I think I've deserved it. I want the last word. And
You
she
got it.
recorded a video that was the last word of the show. So, and
Cool.
that's the difference. And I just see it all the time. I went through a marriage before this relationship where my ex-wife did not get what I did. She thought, oh, it was just playtime all day. And they don't understand that life. They really don't.
Yeah. And you're right. And I want to say that the majority of the people that I work with, and again, the vast majority of them are men, very few women. I'm not saying women are entrepreneurs or not entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I'm saying the entrepreneurs that I've worked with are mostly men. And yes, most of them have marriages. Their wives have learned to take a back seat.
Yeah.
Not always in a good mood about it. It's like, okay, well, I know one guy in particular. He works all the time. All the time. If he's at home, he's on the phone working. He's up late at night,
Yeah.
he's working on the
Yeah.
phone. Um, and his wife has learned to create her own kind of separate life, and she's around there to support him, but she does photography. So she'll leave for like a week or two and go do
Oh, good.
photography, and then comes back.
Yeah.
And it's worked out that way because when she was trying to get him, listen, my first marriage, she wanted me to make, now this is going back 1970s, late 70s. She wanted me to make $250,000 a year, have this great lifestyle, but be home for 5:30 to have dinner with her and, and sit back and enjoy the
It
evening.
doesn't go both ways. No,
Yeah, it
no.
doesn't work that way. And like working weekends and going in early, it's like, don't you care about me? Yeah, I do, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to do
I
this
mean,
other thing called a career.
yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm one of the lucky ones. I mean, Tiz gets what I do. Now, what helps in my case is my partner has a very busy life outside of work too. She works a 9 to 5 or an
Uh,
8:30 to 5 in her case, but same idea. And she's been with the same company as of this year for 39 years, which is
wow.
unheard of. Yeah. Yeah. She's an admin assistant, loves what she does. And but outside of work, she's got a very busy life between family, between friends, between other stuff. She's busy. And so it's not uncommon for her to say to me tonight, she'll say to me, probably during a ball game, she'll say, oh, how was your day? And by the way, what time did you knock it off? And I'll say, at 6. And it's not uncommon for me to get up on a Saturday if I don't have stuff to do around the house to dive into work for a couple hours. Now, If I'm out with her, or I'm out with family, or I'm out with friends, oh, I can throw a switch like nothing. I'm like, done. Leave me alone. Go away. And the big
Yeah.
problem with entrepreneurs is the smartphone has made us more slaves to our work than ever before. And I
Yeah.
just tune mine out. I even get, Harry, notes from family. Didn't you see my text message 2 hours ago? Yeah, so, like we need to regulate this little thing in our hand, right? I mean,
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So if you're coaching an entrepreneur, which is what you do, where do you start? Like, how do you address that? Because entrepreneurs don't like to be coached either, by the way.
Well, it depends. I mean, first thing I do is in establishing a relationship is like, so why are you talking to me? You
Yep.
know, if everything were going rosy and you were handling everything, we wouldn't be talking. So
Yeah.
what's going on that you want to talk to me, that you brought me in?
Yeah.
So tell me what's your biggest headache first. Let's
Hmm.
start addressing that. And generally, one of the fastest ways to address most headaches is to have the employees who actually do the job create a process that produces the consistent results that the owner wants to see. And that's one of the first things. Like, okay, so this is what's happening. What are the consistent results you want to see that produced if this thing worked right?
Yep.
And that's the hard part sometimes because they hadn't really thought about it. They just know this isn't working. Okay, so what would working look like? Well, it's okay. So take the time and answer. I'm not asking you to give me the answer in 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Take a few days. And once you come up with the results you want, then I'm going to have your employees who actually do the job at all levels. They're going to come together and put together a process to produce those results. We're going to test the process. And once the process is tested correctly, we're going to start using that process so you can step away. That's not a headache. And okay, what's your next biggest headache? And what's your next biggest headache? What's your next? And as you're doing
Yeah.
that, you're also building weekly dashboards so they can get a feel for the business. You're also asking them to step away from some of the day-to-day management so they can try,
Hmm.
what can you do to go generate some business? That's what you do
Yeah.
best. Who
That's what
haven't you
you do.
called in a while? Who haven't you
Yeah.
called in a while? What's the market you've been wanting to get into? You know, go do
Yeah.
that. You'll feel better. You like doing that stuff anyway, and you're good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes back to what I said earlier. My mentor used to say, if you're not good at it, find somebody to do it. If you don't like doing it, find something to do it. If you're good at it, it makes you money, continue to do it, more or less.
Yep,
Um,
absolutely.
you hit something pretty bang on there. And I was always thinking this way, and I'll share with you. I just wrote a word down called processing. And you talked about processes a minute ago. And this is, I think, one of the biggest problem with entrepreneurs in business is they don't have their processes down and they wonder why their business is scatterbrained and all over the place.
Right. Yeah. Again, they're good at seeing possibilities, turning them into revenue.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to process school? Where's your process training? You don't have
Hmm.
any. So it's okay that you're not. That's the problem. Most of them think I should be good at all this stuff, but you've
Yeah.
had no training, you've had no experience, you've had none of that. You've had to learn how to put this together with chewing gum and baling wire, make it hang together, but it's not going to be the most efficient system. So what we're
Yeah.
going to do is we're going to get your employees to actually do the job on a granular level to come up with a process to produce the results you want. I don't want you producing a process. Number one, you're going to probably miss some important steps because you don't do the job on a granular level, and you don't experience it day to day like your employees who do the job. I want you to
Hmm.
just tell them what results you want to see. It's their job to come up with that.
Yeah. And not
So,
not only not only, by the way, do I have the process and I can do all this stuff, by the way, as an entrepreneur, I'll just do it all. And I won't delegate it. And I won't trust somebody. And I won't build that relationship. And then you wonder why they're burned out from 11 o'clock at night, sitting in front of a laptop, falling asleep.
right. And that's why the business can only get so big because it
Yeah.
grows to the extent that they can manage it because they're doing it all themselves.
Yeah.
And then they,
Because
and
they
then,
are the
and then,
bottleneck.
and then they moan and whine why my own employees get it. Why can't my employees do it? Because you've trained them not to. That's why.
Yeah.
You train them not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They they
Go
they
ahead.
become the bottleneck very quickly.
Absolutely. And that's that there have been a few clients that I've initially met with, and they'll tell me, we know we're the bottleneck, we just don't know how to get out of the way. You
Mm.
know, And that's I say you're right. I think if you knew how to get out of the way, you and I wouldn't be talking now. If you know
Yeah,
how to handle all this stuff, if you know how to solve these headaches, we wouldn't be talking.
yeah,
It's like, well,
it's
just tell me
true.
what to do. I can tell you what to do, but you're not going to be able to do it. I can tell you how to ride a bike, but you can't get on a bike and start riding.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
You need to build that foundation first before you go anywhere.
right?
Yeah.
Do you really want to know how to do that? Is that something you really want to distract you from being a good entrepreneur and bringing in business? Do you really want to be good at that? You want to be good at inventory management? You want to be good at logistics? You want to be good at accounts payable management? No, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not going to be happy and self-fulfilled doing all this
You're gonna
stuff either.
you're going to hate it. You're going to rather
Yeah.
sit in a periodontist chair and have your gum scraped than come in and do that stuff.
Yeah. 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 So that makes it hard. When you coach, do you usually do like before you set up the dashboard and you're getting a feel, do you usually do like a one-on-one for a couple hours and then over a couple weeks, or do you kind of sit
No,
down and do a brain
no,
dump
but
session?
because then it comes off like I'm a shrink or something. I'm not a shrink. It
No.
usually comes up in conversations. What happens is, as we have conversations about what works, what doesn't work, what the frustrations are, those kinds of things come up. So then I have the opportunity. They brought it up. Now I have an opportunity to ask them. So what makes you say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you get that interpretation? Who told you that's the way it has to be? Why do you think your employees don't get it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They just don't. It's like, okay, so what is it they're missing? What do you see that they don't see? And then they can say, okay, why don't they see it? It's
Mm.
again, ontological coaching is not about giving you the answer. It's asking the right coaches that you get the answer on your own. It's much more
Yeah.
effective learning. If I give you the answer, okay. If I ask you the questions and you come up with the answer on your own, that's an entirely different level of learning.
And even better. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree. How does, and I can't have this conversation without mentioning two dreaded letters. And you probably know what they're going to be.
Wait,
How
what?
does, I can't have this conversation without mentioning two letters.
Two letters.
And
Okay.
you'll probably figure it out real quickly. How does this impact in the world of AI?
AI, well, again, AI is one of those tools that's out there.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that the owner has to learn how to use AI, but you better get somebody on staff who does know or will learn,
Mm-hmm.
because it's quickly becoming, it's getting embedded in our day-to-day lives quicker than I could have imagined. And if you're not using it, you're going to get left behind. It's kind of like saying, well, the internet's here, but we're not going to fool with that. You
Yep.
know, and again, some estimates I've heard is that AI is going to create more millionaires and billionaires in the next 5 years than the internet created in the last 20.
Yeah.
I mean, they have, if you read some of the stories out, they have teenagers who have used AI to invent apps and are making serious six-figure money now.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It changed the landscape just a little bit. Um, Besides coming to see you for coaching, that's a fair comment at top of the list. If somebody's in trouble, what's the first couple of things they should look at real quickly?
I want to look at their financial statement. In other words, in terms of, I want to look at number one, what they say the problem is, right?
Okay.
And then I want to look at their financial statements to see what I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Because I had somebody come to me a couple of weeks ago, and they were complaining that the bank wouldn't give them a loan to do this expansion store in a strip mall where there's more traffic. Because right now when their business started out, it was in the front, but then all this additional strips shopping mall got added, and now you can't see them from the street. And I was like, okay, so let me look at the financial statements. That's probably what the bank's looking at. And they had their debt to equity ratio was something like close to 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I said, well, I can see why. And they had a loan with this bank already. I said that looking at this, I said, I'm going to say this some accounting jargon that I explained to you. I said, you have a debt to equity ratio of close to 10.
I know
What
what
does that
that
mean?
means. Believe
It
me.
means
Yeah.
it means you're over leveraged. It means you have too much debt given the amount of
Yeah.
equity you have in your business. You said you got all these credit cards. You still have a IED, what is it? IED loan that you haven't paid off. you have a bank loan with this thing. You put your car loan in the business. I said, so the debts, and you're paying an average of 25% on your credit cards. You know, if anything, I would forget about expansion. I would see if you could get a consolidation on these credit cards, stop using them, cut them up. We get the,
I love that.
If the bank can give you, even if the bank can even give you a loan at 12% on your credit card debt, take it. You'll cut your interest payments in half and see if they can spread it out. You know, so you don't have to pay it all off in a year or something. Get your cash flow right, because that's, you're feeling the pinch in your cash flow, right? And you go, yeah, how'd you know? I said, well, your financials are screaming it at me. You know, we looked at a few other ratios and stuff, and they were mildly profitable. It weren't like they were breaking even, losing money, but they weren't making a lot of money, and a lot of it had to do with their interest expense. So, you know, I told them that, and basically they weren't satisfied. They're looking for somebody to tell them how to go get a bank loan to go expand this, go put in a new store at the new strip mall, that they would have to put in a floor and walls and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know who's gonna loan you the money. If they do, it's gonna come at an awfully high interest rate.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story you'd appreciate. I had a friend of mine who was an entrepreneur. He got leveraged. He had major money in investments, but he had a high volume of credit card debt. And you know what those interest rates will do? And then I said to him up front, I mean, I'm not, as I say, I don't like doing the finances, but I understand it. I said to him, why aren't you pulling money out of your investments and paying your credit cards off, your business credit cards off? Just be done with it. And his investment guy told him his friend was crazy. And I looked at him and said, so your investment guy cares about his commissions from you being in that investment, then, right? You know where I'm going. And I said to him, you're nuts. Like, why not just pay it off? Because your investments are only turning over. They're not turning over 28%. Like,
no, I'm close.
And people don't get that. And I subscribe in my business and my personal life to the theory that if it goes on the credit card, it comes off the credit card at the month end. I do not carry a balance at all. Now, I do put money on and I do pay money off because that's the only way to help your credit score. You know that, and I know that.
Yeah.
But I do not. I haven't carried a balance in years because I just don't.
I haven't had a car loan or a credit card loan since, I don't know, sometime in the 90s. And my house, I paid my house off in 2005. I hate that.
Yeah. And so you're no mortgage, no mess. You're happy.
I sleep well at night. My overhead is, I don't know, $3,000, $3,500 a month.
Yeah. And what I would say to anybody is, honestly, if you're really stuck with this stuff, and you know, they can employ somebody like you who would help them out with that. But the other resources, go check out the Dave Ramsey stuff on the internet and spend some time reading that. Dave knows what he's talking about. And if you follow some of those processes, you'll never get out of debt. You will get out of debt. I mean,
right.
And that's really important. So that's it. I mean, sleeping well at night's important because I go to bed at night and I don't stress over the stuff. I just say, I'm done. Right.
Yep.
So, it's so much true. The other thing about an entrepreneur is, since we're going this road, is I don't care what anybody says, find a way in your weekly methodology to take care of yourself. So you and I were trying to book this. I bailed on a doctor's appointment, and then I misscheduled on a day when you had something looked at, right? And I was smiling at you because I'm like, here, Cary's taking care of himself. And I mean, physically, but mentally, you got to do it too, right? And I find that a lot of people I work with, the biggest problem is they don't look after them.
Yeah.
So how do you look after the business if you don't look after you?
Again, without getting preachy.
Go ahead, get preachy. I'm good with that.
I'm talking about getting preachy with clients. I mean, because number one, I'm not a healthcare provider, right? It's not my expertise.
I know, me neither.
But, I have this one client in particular. I worked with him for what, 25 years? And he must have gained 100 pounds in that 25 years.
Oh
Wound up with
shit.
high blood, wound up with high blood pressure, had to take uh, the shots for
Yep.
diabetes. He became a type 2 diabetic.
Oh,
Um,
I'm a type 2. So there you go.
well, yeah, but his was because he gained so much freaking weight. And
Yeah.
so what he
So
started doing,
Ozempic will
no,
help with that. Yep.
right. So what he started doing was taking his insulin shots. If he was going to go have a big meal, go have a big business lunch, he would give himself an insulin shot ahead of time and go have his meal. I said, yeah, okay, I got to say something now. You're endangering your life.
Yeah.
You're
They
endangering your
actually
life.
teach the endocrinologist will actually teach you to regulate your insulin, but not to that degree. So it means if you're on insulin and say you take 16 points before a meal or 12 points, if you know you're going to eat something high carb, maybe up that to 18, but don't, you know what I mean? Like you're allowed to adjust it a little bit. Um, I had and I'll share this with you very publicly, and I've been public about podcasts. A year and a half ago, I ended up in a hospital on a diabetic crash. A year and a
Really?
half ago, last February 27th of 2024. I had an abscess in the back of the neck that turned into a sugar problem in a hurry. How it got
Wow.
there, we don't know. How it did, 8 days in the ICU. And when I came out, my doctor put me on high scale insulin to no end. Do you know today, a year and a half later, I am not on 1 ounce of insulin at all anymore
Wow.
because I work on it. And one of the things that helps me is I go for a walk every day. So you got to take care of yourself. So even diabetics got to learn to take care of themselves.
Yep. Yeah, because it's a machine. The body being a machine, the machine breaks down,
Yep.
you're done with.
Yep. And not only do you got to take care of the physical stuff, you got to take care of this thing right here, the head. A
Yeah,
lot of entrepreneurs get stressed and they don't do anything about it. And my response is, so why wouldn't you go see a therapist or a counselor? And I say that all the time. And people say, you're crazy. I said, no. What happens when you get a cold? I go see my doctor. So it's the answer, right?
yeah,
You got to take care of you. And because you can't take care of you, you can't take care of the business.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to sound preachy either. It's just something I've learned.
Well, no, I mean, with my clients, that this is not my area of expertise. And I guess my caution to myself is don't start preaching places you're not, it's not your area of expertise. You're going to call it just being preachy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. So moving forward, you've been doing this a long time, like
Yeah.
20 odd years, give or take.
No, 40 years.
40 years. Okay.
Yeah.
That's even better. I'm not
Came
making
alive.
light of that. That's a lot of experience. Um, what type of businesses in what sectors do you typically work with, Cary? Or is it all over?
Well, for a long time, I worked mainly with manufacturers, construction firms, and wholesalers.
Okay.
For whatever reason, with COVID, I went from having pretty much just local clients to I have clients from South Florida to Seattle. And I have everything from e-commerce to a law firm to a physical therapy firm, sports therapy firm, um, construction firm. The guy in Seattle had three masted sailboat that he gives tours of
Okay.
Sail Harbor,
Okay.
and kind of everything in between. So I've gone industry agnostic for the most point. For the most
Mm,
part, I really like e-commerce a lot.
yeah,
Um, because you can sell 24 hours a day.
you can. The shop never slows down.
Right. And they have all kinds of interesting software now that you can analyze number of visits. I mean, the one of the secrets of driving sales is getting traffic through the door. That's why when
Yep.
you have these malls and you have these big anchors that would draw a lot of people are willing to pay higher than normal
Yep.
prices for their retail spots because of the traffic. right? So one of the secrets of e-commerce is how do you drive traffic to your website? So look at what you got.
Yep. No question.
And they have, that's about a, I mean, they get daily dashboards on visitors, new customers, returning customers, what time of the day, what hour, how many sales were done in each hour on a 24-hour basis. They have daily budgets for sales. We cover a lot of data. And when you look at it all, you can say, oh, there's a problem. And, you know, we've learned how to address a lot of them. So they've gotten really good at, they know where the spigots are to turn on sales.
Yeah. The problem with malls, and you just touched on some anchor stores, that we are going through a revolution of the death of the department store.
Yes.
You guys have had it in the States with Sears, Sears in Canada. Don't know how much you know about Kane Market. We just lost Hudson Bay, which dated back to the 1800s, the fur trading days. They went bankrupt. We're seeing this more and more. So it's getting harder and harder and harder to attract people in the shopping malls. And my partner lives near one of Canada's second biggest mall. The biggest one's in Edmonton. And it does well, but it's a different culture. It's high-end stores. But the malls that don't have high-end stores are actually in real trouble right now.
Yeah.
And it's at the point where Amazon's running around buying old shopping malls again for the second time for warehouses. Which brings me to my next point. Is it the better time to build a business, especially a retail business, in an economic downturn, not an upturn?
Well, if you look at the history of business, a lot of really successful businesses were started in economic hard times, like the Depression.
Yep.
Harley Davidson was started in the Depression.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
it's not so much the economic times, it's do you have an idea that's going to attract people, that you can create a market or tap into a market that's there. And a lot of times it's by innovation. It's not by doing, you know, the same thing everybody else is doing the same way. But if you can do something that's innovative, even in hard times, people will find there's always going to be some money around. People, the money will find what it is you offer, as long as you have a good offer and you can get the word out. So it's not so much is it the right time? There's never a right time. It's never going to feel right. It's kind of like getting married, you know. It never. It sounds good, but it never feels like, well, if I only had this handle, or I had that handle, I had this handle. But you get married and you make it work, you know. So if you need to have a really good idea, something that's going to appeal to the market, and start it and have it, you know, you used to have at least capitalized well enough to get going. But you know, get it out there. It's if
there's a really
the right idea.
There's a really cute ad running on TV in Canada right now with one of the big banks, and the young entrepreneur granddaughter is starting a lawn care business, and she calls her senior grandfather and says, "Is this the right time to start a business?" He said, "Now's the right time." Right?
Now's the right time. She wants to start a lawn chair business.
Pardon?
She wanted to start a lawn chair business?
A lawn care business.
Lawn care. Okay.
Lawn care business, yeah. And she says, and the surmise of it is anytime's the right time to start a business, right? So let's stop playing with what's a good time or a bad time. But I agree with the economic downturns. I mean, Amazon built their warehouse structure during the dot-com bust. I mean, they've done an amazing job, and they're running around buying stuff again. If I haven't seen one new Amazon warehouse go in the Greater Toronto area, I've probably seen 5. You know, it's just
there was the predominant mall here in Baton Rouge when I first moved here. It was called Tana Mall. Amazon bought it because it had been degraded to discount stores, what have you. Amazon bought it, scraped it off, built a brand new Amazon processing center where this mall used to be. And they put up a lot of adjacent spots, restaurant spots and stuff around there. Scraped everything off and started over. In Lafayette, where I'm from, they bought an old racetrack, a horse racetrack, scraped it off, and built this massive processing center there.
Wow. Wow. Hey, Cary, this is an amazing conversation. If somebody wants to find out more about you or what you do, how's the best way?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, just Cary
Yeah.
Prejean. You
Yeah.
can also go to my website. I have two websites. They're both strategic business advisors, plural. One of them is .org and the other one is .us.
Okay. Thank you, Cary. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.
You too, Rob. Thank you.
This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. Very special thank you to Cary for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.